There is a brand new M. Night Shyamalan movie in cinemas right now. It's called Trap. It stars Josh Hartnett. And if you've seen the trailer, you might be compelled to check it out. When we watched the trailer, I think it was dropped at CinemaCon. It was pretty fascinating and pretty cool because it looked like Shyamalan had revealed the big twist of the movie in the trailer itself. And so the film takes place within this concert where Josh Hartnett, a father, is with his daughter, and Lady Raven is her favorite artist of all time, and they're at this concert. However, there is a massive police presence, and Josh Hartnett asks someone working at the stadium what's going on, what's up with all these cops, and the guy's like, well, the serial killer called the butcher. Police found out that he was going to be here at this concert, and they've set up a trap. Turns out Josh Hartnett is the motherfucking butcher. He is the serial killer. Oh my God, what is going to happen? And that is pretty much where the movie kicks off. Essentially, Josh Hartnett is trapped and trying to figure out how to escape this situation. That is the entire 105-minute runtime of this film. There was very little hype about this movie in Malaysia. There wasn't even a press screening, there wasn't a premiere screening. They just kind of dropped it without any fanfare. And we think that was a mistake because it is actually incredibly tense, incredibly enjoyable, a real throwback to the thrillers of the 80s and the 90s. But even more than that, I mean, the movie has its flaws, but even more than that, Josh Hartnett, man. Josh Hartnett carries this shit on his motherfucking shoulders. He is insane. He is so good.
I have to say, I was one of those guys that forgot how good Josh Hartnett can be. And he really sort of brings his A game in this one. He carries the movie and it's so good.
But you know what else? There is this weird fucking social awkwardness to him, which is characteristic of the character he's playing, right?
Right.
Like in his interactions with like this mother of his daughter's friend or with other people. It's like he's constantly putting on a front, but it's also super socially awkward and he like doesn't know how to behave. And so he's acting like how someone of his position should behave. It's this weird meta thing that he does, and it's just, ooh, it's really fun to watch.
There are a couple times throughout the film where he shifts gears and Shyamalan's just got the camera in his face and you can tell when something's tweaked in his character's head, right? And I feel like there's this thing that was going around Hollywood for a while. I think it was post Apollo 13 that Tom Hanks is a great thinking actor because you can watch him think and he's great on camera when he's just thinking. I would like to throw up Josh Hartnett into that list as well because in this movie there's a lot of him just thinking and it is intense and great.
I know there has been some criticism about how many times this movie ends and how many twists there actually are. I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I agree that some of this stuff maybe feels a little too easy, but as the movie was going on, it didn't really bother me because it felt like the character that they were portraying with Cooper, Josh Hartnett, was this mastermind serial killer. And I felt that that was justified because of how the movie ended with the big reveal. We won't give it away, but when that big reveal happened, I felt it kind of justified the other stuff in the film with how good he was and how easy it was for him, or seemingly easy it was for him.
My issue wasn't that it was easy. My issue was that it seemed a lot of luck. Some of the situations he was able to get himself into just felt a little easy and lucky. And I agree with you. He obviously has proven himself to be a person who is able to get into these situations, which is how he has been able to get away with being a serial killer for as long as he has. But at the same time, I just thought that there were one too many, oh, that's lucky kind of moments.
Right.
At one point, he finds a wallet. He just so happens to notice a very key character in Lady Raven's entourage at one point. And it's not even like he had targeted the character from early in the film. It's that he looks around and he notices one person happens to be standing there. So stuff like that just bugged me a little bit.
I didn't notice that too much. I think I was kind of caught up in the movie enough that it didn't really pull me out of it. I think that the level of tension that Shyamalan creates with the way he's staged this, framed this, all of the blocking in this movie is tremendous. I think
Beautiful.
all of that works towards creating this undeniable tension. And it doesn't let up.
Mm, I
Even
agree.
when there are moments of relief, both for Cooper and for the good guys,
Mm,
there is still an underlying tension that you can feel at the back of your neck. It's weird. It's like you know it's not over. You know there's something coming.
I agree.
And I love that sensation. And I think that's something that Shyamalan does really, really well.
A lot of it is also based around how he's gotten his DP to shoot the film, right? There are these moments of the concert where I found myself watching the screen behind the performer, not realizing that the performer is on screen.
Yes.
It's sort of like a you're not paying attention to the right thing kind of situation. And I love that.
And that was intentional, right?
It was tense throughout. Also, the way Shyamalan sort of does certain scenes where the actors are looking directly at camera, that really made me uncomfortable. They're not breaking the fourth wall, but they kind of are. They're not really looking off camera, and that was weird and awkward, but it goes a long way in also increasing the tension of the movie. I had a really good time in the cinema. I had issues with it, but I had a good time.
So apparently, M. Night Shyamalan was inspired by the idea of doing Silence of the Lambs at a Taylor Swift concert. That was the elevator pitch. But also, I didn't realize this. Apparently, there was something like this that happened in real life in 1985 called Operation Flagship, which was a sting operation in which law enforcement arrested 101 wanted fugitives, having invited them under the pretense of getting them free tickets for an all expenses paid trip to Super Bowl 20.
There was a documentary on that I think I watched.
There must have been.
I
Like,
can't
that
remember
is
what it
a
was.
great story.
It's a great story.
Everybody wants free shit, especially criminals.
But also, I mean, come on, it was a Super Bowl, right? It's like, yeah, I'm going to come out of hiding just in case this is a real thing.
I thought there was a real sense of claustrophobia in the way he shot all of the stadium scenes as well, with Josh Hartnett moving through corridors. I think the physicality of Josh Hartnett was displayed very well. I think Josh Hartnett definitely put on some weight for this, but the way he was dressed with this like oversized jacket, it made him tower over everyone else at the stadium. Obviously, everyone else at the stadium is a teenage girl, but still, that kind of really added to his presence. Like, you felt that it was a Reacher situation. When he walked into a room, it was like, oh, this guy is big. And he could be the good guy, he could be the bad guy.
I think the actual real genius of this is that the reveal that is in the trailer that Cooper is the butcher happens about 10 minutes into the movie. I think about 10 to 15 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
And M. Night Shyamalan spends the rest of that first half of the movie, I would say, almost making you root for him.
Oh, you are totally sympathetic towards this guy.
But also, I think the reason you are sympathetic to this guy is the setup in the run up to the actual concert, is the relationship with him and his daughter. You seeing all that, you're like, no, I understand he's got a weird Chinaman in a basement somewhere, but he seems like a really good dad. You know? Because like there were times when Cooper was trying to work his way out of the stadium, I was thinking to myself, you're not going to leave your daughter behind, are you? You can't just escape. What you going to do about Riley? You can't just stay there.
And then he does some stuff
Yeah.
to reinforce that, oh, wait, this is actually a bad guy.
Yes. Yeah.
And even then, you're still like, oh, I really hope he finds a way out.
Yeah. I hope he gets to escape.
I think you're
with
right.
his
That is
daughter.
the true genius of this movie. As you're watching it, and I think that turn only happened in the third act.
But also, M. Night Shyamalan does something in that third act because the point of view is now no longer from Cooper. I feel like there's a shift towards someone else's POV that you then suddenly see Cooper as the villain.
Exactly.
So that in itself is just fantastic writing, right? Because for 2/3 of the film, you are rooting for Cooper against this FBI profiler. But then suddenly in the third act, a different character is given center stage and they then lead you, the audience, throughout the rest of the movie. At that point, Cooper becomes the clear villain. And that is just great writing. I want to read this script. I want to see how he does that. I want to see how he does that shift because it's great.
Also, make sure you watch Trap on the big screen. I feel like this is a definite cinema film.
Yeah,
It
agreed.
was shot on 35mm stock, so it's got a certain look to it in itself. But it's one of these movies you want to watch on the big screen with a group of people around you. You want to see how everyone kind of reacts to the big reveals, and there are quite a lot of them in this movie. And it's really worth your time. We had a tension-filled time at the cinema. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I agree.
Check out Trap. It's now showing in Malaysian cinemas. It's well worth your time. Goggler MY, all of our social media feeds. Reach out and let us know what you think. You can also email us on podcast@goggler.my or send us a WhatsApp on the Goggler hotline 012-524-5208. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.